Good morning, crime community. I'm here to continue to read out about Aurora Lee. This is from Vincent Carrington, dear friend. I want good counsel. Will you lend me wings? To raise me to the subject in a sketch I'll bring tomorrow, may I, at 11? A poet's only born to turn to use, to save you for the world. And Carrington, read after, have you heard of Romney Lee? Beyond what's said of him in newspapers, his philanthropies there, his speeches here, his pamphlets, pleas, and statements everywhere. He dropped me long ago, but no one drops a golden apple through indeed one day. You hinted that, but jested. Well, at least you know, Lord, how, who sees him, whom he sees, and you see, and I hate to see for how stands high upon the brinks of theories, observe the swimmers and cries, very fine, but keeps dry linen equally, unlike the gallant Breester, Romney. Strange it is, such sudden madness seizing a young man to make earth over again, while I'm content to make the pictures. Let me bring the sketch, a tiptoe danye, overbold and hot, both arms aflame to meet her wishing Jove, halfway and burn down faster down, the face and breast upturned and straining the loose locks, all glowing with the anticipated gold. Or here's another on the self-same theme. She lies here flat upon her prison floor, the long hair swayed upon her to the heel like wet seaweed. You dimly see her through the glittering haze of the prodigious rain, have blotted out of nature by a love of heavy as fate. I'll bring you either sketch. I think myself the second indicates more passion. Surely self is put away and calm with abdication. She is Jove and no more Danye, greater thus, perhaps. The painter symbolizes unaware to states of recipient artist soul, one forward personal wanting reverence, because air spurring only will be calm and know what, when indeed our Joves come down, will all turn stiller when we have ever been. Kind Vincent Carrington, let him come in. He talks of Florence and may say a word of something as a chance 7 years ago, a hedgehog in the path, or a lame bird of those green hills, country walks in that good time, when certainly I was so miserable, I seem to have blessed a blessing ever since. The music soars within a little lark, and the lark soars, and it is not thus with men. We do not make our places with our strains, content while they rise to remain behind, alone on earth instead of so in heaven. No matter, I bear on my broken tail. When Romney Lee and I had parted thus, I took a chamber up 3 flights of stairs, far not from being as steep as from Lark's climb, and there in a certain house in Kensington, 3 years I lived and worked, to leave to get to work. To this world 'tis the best to get it all, for God in cursing gives us better gifts than men in benediction. God says sweat for foreheads, men say crowns, and so we are crowned, gashed by some tormenting circle of steel which snaps with a secret spring. Get work, be sure 'tis better than what the work you get. Serene and unafraid of solitude, I worked for short days out and watched the sun on lurid morns and monstrous afternoons, like some druidic idol's fiery brass, which fixed on flickering outline of dead heat, from which the blood of wretches pent inside, from oozing forth to incarnadine the air, push out with fog, with the dilated disk, and startle the slant roofs and chimney pots with splashes of fierce color. Or I saw, for only the great tawny weltering fog involve the city, strangling it alive and draw it off into the void, spires, bridges, streets, and squires, as if a sponge had wiped out London, or as noon and night had clamped together and utterly struck out the intermediate time, undoing themselves. In the act, your city poets see such things not despicable. Mountains of the south, when drunk and mad with eternal wines that rend the seamless mist, stand up bare, make fewer singers. Happily, no one sings, descending Sinai on Parnassus's mount. You make a mule to climb and not amuse, except in fable and figures, forests chant the anthems to themselves and leave you dumb, and sit in London as the days decline and views the city perish in the mist like Pharaoh's ornaments in the deep Red Sea, the chariots, horsemen, footmen, all the host, sucked down and choked to silence, then surprised by a sudden sense of vision and of time. You feel of conquerors, though you did not fight, and you and Israel's other singing girls, as Miriam with them, sing the song you choose. I worked with patience, which means almost power, and I did excellent things indifferently, some bad things excellently, both for praise, the louder loudest. And by such a time that I set them down as sins, scarce worth the price of sackcloth. Weeks by week arrive some letters through the sedulous post. Like these I've read, and yet dissimilar, with pretty maiden seals, initial twined, or lilies, or a heart marked Emily, convicting Emily of being all heart, or rarer tokens from young bachelors who wrote from college, and same goose quill. Suppose they have been plucked off, and a snatch from Horace Colleges Juvat set upon the first page, many a letter signed or unsigned, showing the writers at 18 had lived too long, although a muse should help their dawn of holding candles, compliments, to smile or sigh at, such could pass with me, no more than coins from Moscow circulate. At Paris would 10 rubles buy a tag, or ribbons on the boulevard worth a sow. I smiled that all this youth should love me, sighed that such a love could scarcely raise them up, and love what is more worthy than myself, then sighed again, less generously, to think very love, so lavish so, proved me inferior, the strong loved me not, and he, my cousin Romney, did not write. I felt the silent finger of his scorn prick every bubble of my frivolous fame, and my breath blew it and resolved it back to the air it came from. Oh, I justified the measure I had taken of my height. The thing was plain, it was not wrong a line. I played at art, made thus a toy sword, amused the ladies and maidens, come aside. Deep horse with resolution, I would work to better ends and play in earnest, heavens. I think I would be almost popular. If this went on, I ripped my verses up and found no blood upon the rapier's point. The art in them is just an embryo's heart, which never yet had beat, that it could die and gasp to make believe galvanic life, mere tones and organized than any tune. And yet I felt in me where it burnt like these hot fire seeds of creation held in Jove's clenched palm before the worlds were sown. But I was not Juno even, my hand, when shut in weak convulsion, women's ill, and when I yearned to lose a finger low, the nerve revolted. 'Tis the same even now. This hand may never happily open large before the spark is quenched or the palm charred. To prove the power, not else than by the pain, it burns, it burnt, my whole life burnt with it, and light, not sunlight, and not torchlight flashed my steps out through a slow and difficult road. I had grown distrustful to forward springs and seasons books in drear significance of morals dropping round me, lively books. The ash has livelier verdure than the yew, and yet the yews, green longer and alone, found worthy of the holy Christmas time, will plant more yews if possible, albeit will plant the graveyards with them. Day and night I worked my rhythmic thought and furrowed up, but watch and slumber with long lines of life which did not suit their season. The rose fell from either cheek, my eyes globed luminous through orbits of blue shadow, and my pulse would shudder along the purple veined wrist like a shot bird, youth stern, set face to face with youth's ideal. And when people came and said, "You work too much, you are looking ill," I smiled for pity of them who pitied me, and thought I should be better soon perhaps. For those ill looks, observe, I means in youth, just I, the conscious and eternal youth, which all its ends and not the outside life, the parcel man and doublet of the flesh, and so much liver, lung, intriguement, which make the sum of I. Hereafter, when world talkers talk of doing well or ill, I prosper if I gain a step, although a nail then pierced my foot, although my brain, embracing my truth, froze paralyzed. I prosper, but I change my instrument. I break the spade off, digging deep for gold, and catch a mattock up. I worked on, through all the bristling fence of nights and days, which hedges time in from the eternities. I struggled, never stopped to note the stakes, which hurt me in my course, the midnight oil, which stinks sometimes. There came some vulgar needs. I had to live, that therefore I might work, and being but poor, I was constrained for life to work with one hand for the booksellers, while working with the other for myself. And art, you swim with feet as well as hands, and make small way. I apprehend this. In England, no one lives but verses that lives, and apprehending, I resolved by prose to make a space to spare my living verse. I wrote for encyclopedias, magazines, and weekly papers, holding up my name. To keep it from the mud, I learned the use and the editorial we in a view, and courtly ladies, and fine tricks of trains, and swept it grandly through the open doors, and if one could pass through doors at all, so encumbered I wrote tales besides, carved many an article of cherry stones, to suit light readers, sometimes in the lines, revealing, it was said, the mal at hand, but that I never vouch for. What you do for bread will taste the common grain, not grapes, although you have a vineyard of champagne, no less than necrophilagia, as mine was peradventure, having bread for just so many days, just breathing room. For body and verse I stood up straight and worked my veritable work, and the soul which grows within a child makes the child grow, and as the furrier sap, the touch from God, catering through a tree, dilates the bark, and roughs with scale and knob before it strikes the summer foliage out in a green flame, in life so deepening with me, deepened all the course I took, and worked I did, indeed, the academic law, convinced of sin, the critics cried out into the falling off, forgetting the first manner, but I felt my heart's life throbbing in the verse to show it lived. It also, certes incomplete, disordered, and all atom in the blood, but even in my tumors, warts, and wanes, still organized, and by and implying life. Well, we will leave this lesson for another day. We will pray for peace for Aurora Lee and her companions on her journey of love and life. And we pray here for peace again on planet Earth, where there seems to be war and violence and hate and not love and joy. So we pray for peace and love and joy, and have a wonderful day.